Open surface plays a little bit faster than here at the Australian Open, and I think that the slower it is, the more it favors Igor Andreev. So he'd be very aware of Andreev's strengths.
And one of Andreev's strengths is his strength. He's very muscular.
He really is, and so is Maria Kirilenko. She looked really fit yesterday against Sharapova.
34.
Of course, that's what he can do, though. He can make mistakes out of nowhere, and no reason at all to hit that ball in the middle of the court.
So Federer gifted a break point.
Good first serve. 199 kilometers an hour out wide. That's pretty fast.
Advantage Federer.
And there's another gift. Second double.
Let the service.
Maybe a little bit tight here, Mr. Federer as well.
Yeah, that was alarming, the amount by which it missed.
You would think that Andreev might just roll in the first serve here, a lot of topspin into the Federer backhand, and then start working with his forehand. Andreev.
Advantage Andreev.
It's amazing the expectations we have for Roger Federer, because it feels like the crowd is like, is he back or is he not back? Does he have a chance to win? He played horribly in London. He lost that US Open final to Del Potro. At least that's the way I look at him, and it's crazy. Whoa.
Three doubles in the game. You think that Federer would take advantage of this? Yes, I'm fascinated to know where you think Federer is. I thought last year he wasn't anywhere near where he was the year before. I wondered if the decline was almost permanent. And yet he won 2 Grand Slams, and now is he the best of all time? I don't know. But
he won 2 Grand Slams and made 2 other finals.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Things conspired for him, though, didn't they?
Yeah, really did.
But I don't know if I'm taking too much away, so after this point, you tell me.
Yeah, that's well played by Andreev.
So can you differentiate last year from the success that he had and the play that he produced?
Well, I think he got really lucky, obviously, at the French Open when Rafael Nadal lost to Robin Söderling. But we have to remember that Roger Federer beat Rafael Nadal on clay in Madrid 2 weeks before the French. And it was just, the circumstances were in his favor. Nadal was really tired from the match before against Djokovic, and that kind of killed Nadal in a way, it killed his year. And I think Federer got so much confidence from having beaten Nadal finally on clay. And then, of course, he got really lucky at Wimbledon against Andy Roddick. But, you know, is it luck or is it skill? Because he seems to be pulling out all these close matches throughout his whole career.
No doubt that he deserved the luck and he deserves to win the 15 titles. But I just wonder if the graph of his play is going to go up again. It might. A lot of people saying that fatherhood's not necessarily a good thing, but maybe what happened last year will release him. The demons are gone. He's won Roland Garros. He's beaten Sampras's record.
I think so. I mean, I think Justine Henin is talking about coming back, and Kim Clijsters too, and playing more relaxed. But I think you have to be really intense. You're going to win majors. You got to be intense. So I think that maybe in the early rounds he can relax a bit more. He's got 2 kids now. He's happily married, Roger. But Rafael Nadal doesn't care about that kind of stuff, and nor does Del Potro or Robin Söderling or Novak Djokovic. So you better bring the intensity up early in this tournament. I think the biggest difference between Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal is once Robin Söderling beat Nadal at the French, it seemed like, okay, that's the formula. That's how we all have to play against Nadal. Whereas with Roger Federer, how do you play him if you're not Rafael Nadal? There's no set pattern. You can't go to the backhand side all the time, or you can't serve and volley. So you just have to play a great match tactically, but more importantly, you have to execute on all the big points.
Game Federer.
Federer looking in pretty snappy form there.
Federer leads 2 games to 1.
So 3 games with serve. Got to the quarter-final at Roland Garros a couple of years ago, did Andreev. But again there, you know, I sensed he might have done more because that seems tailor-made for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that year, and I thought actually he was going to win the tournament. He was playing so well. And when he does play well, he really looks like he should be a top 10 player. But I guess some of these matches on the outside courts are tough for him.
Love 15.
He's not really a big name, and the style is not that attractive, I think, to the TV audience or to fans in general. But once you're courtside and you're watching him, it's an amazingly strong player.
Love 30.
Federer on his case there. Terrific return. He got it done in the end. I thought it was a rather brave move forward.
Yeah, just guessed right. Had to pick one side, but
15 session.
Federer chose to go down the middle with this back, and he was trying to pull it cross court, but didn't really manage to. No, that's a good point by Federer. He's trying to break the rhythm here for Andreev.
There's a very good result for Rainer Schuttler, who got to the final here somewhat 7 years ago. And in the doldrums, but has taken out Sam Querrey, the number 25 seed. So, chances now for Federer. Straight away, he makes it count, and he's cutting an imposing figure so far.
Absolutely, looks very sharp here and taking the ball quite early and flattening out that forehand, and it's one shot that maybe he doesn't have, Roger Federer, but he's done it here a couple of times in a row. And a fist pump straight away.
15 love.
I think what's kept him in the game, and what kept him in the game last year was definitely his serve. Remember that finals again against Robin Söderling, they played that tiebreak in the fourth set and they hit 4 clean aces on clay. And of course he served well at Wimbledon to stay close to Andy Roddick.
Here's an example of Andreev's strength from way back.
15 all.
That's an interesting play. I've seen Federer do that more and more. He's serve and volley on the second serve, and he does that so he can get closer to the net.
Let's for service.
Well, it's just not good enough. Good passing shot, but
15.
Short approach shot by Federer. Can't come to the net against any player with that shot.
Mistake on the forehand. It was a bit of a gamble that from Andreev, running around and hitting the forehand from the backhand side on return. But here are 2 break back points straight away. You know it.
Amazing how many good serves he comes up with when he needs them. Not known to be a big server, but high percentage, very smart, a lot of different spins, different looks.
Deuce.
So 2 break points, 2 terrific serves.
Advantage, Andreev.
So he's got a 3rd chance. Now a different equation. Yeah, he went for a broke on the forehand and he did the trick. And we could have a match on our hands here. Andreev breaks the great man. It is 3-2. Moving over to court 6, James Blake has just gone 2 sets up. Here's David.
Yeah, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy set. Blake looked in command early on. Clement came back at him. Of course, Clement, a former finalist here, just like Rainer Schuttler, who you were mentioning, Simon.
Yeah,
but in the end, Blake closed it out by 7 games to 5 with that overhead. So the American looking in command now. 2 sets, 7-5, 7-5, he leads.
And here is a gorgeous day. And it's a packed house here, just around 15,000. Very few seats to be filled. And arguably the greatest player on earth out there on show. Punishing rally. Federer really made him move there. Mats loved it.
Oh, I love it when he steps up and plays really close to the baseline, and he just guides that forehand in, and it becomes a much flatter shot, and he shoots through the court. And not this one, but this one right here. Kind of just guides it down. Too much. Too quick for Andreev. But it is a physical match when you play against Igor Andreev. You better have eaten your carbohydrates, and you better be ready. So he doesn't go away easily.
Ooh, might be worth a challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andreev is challenging the call on the center service line. Ball was called out.
Molina, Spanish umpire. This would be very close. But he did miss.
Second service. Andreev has 2 challenges remaining.
Well played, and it's a backhand that did the job.
He just opened up the court beautifully there, Andreev, with that cross-court forehand.
15-all.
And here it comes, and after that it's a matter of execution. Beautiful follow-through. Seen Federer slide a couple of times here. That's unusual for him. Might be a step slower. No, I don't think so. Nothing looks exactly the same as it did 5 years ago. It's amazing.
Physically, he's fantastic, isn't he? And he never gets injured.
I'm not sure what the reason is for that. If he works really hard or stretches really hard, but he just moves so effortless, and he hits the ball with a lot of pace, and the racket head acceleration is incredible, but doesn't put any pounding on his shoulder, I guess.
Wow. He's a monster.
It's just a very, very modern way of hitting a forehand. This is nothing you should try at home. Really isn't. But he gets an amazing amount of topspin on that forehand. Or is that the way that the modern tennis is going? Possibly.
Game, Andreev.
Very, very strong there. Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying, actually now we could be reverting back 20, 30 years where a lot of people are going to come to the net more. Shorten points, lengthen careers.
I think that's a good, very valid point. And I really think that there is room for coming to the net. I just think they don't practice it enough when they're young. They don't learn how to feel comfortable at the net. If you come to the net in the right shot, it's still a very effective play.
15.
Has to be a good dancer, Roger Federer.
Yeah.
If he has any rhythm in his body.
It's a lovely shot. And those dancing feet are probably one of the answers, and you hinted on it, why he hasn't got injured, because he does move so gracefully. He puts such little stress on the lower body.
Absolutely, always on his toes. He's got very strong calf muscles, Roger Federer. He's not doesn't look to be very strong, but he does have strong legs under those long shorts.
So impressive.
30-15.
Andreev working like a Trojan, but he had no chance once Federer was in this position.
I think you can count the misses with his overhead on one hand over his whole career. Never misses one.
That's very strange.
A little bit casual there. I thought maybe he thought Andreev's shot was going to float long. He could have even come to the net after this forehand. Sneaked in. Just couldn't make up his mind that time. This is a big point in this first set.
Yeah, sure enough.
He knew it too.
201 Ks.
Game Federer. New balls, please.
So Federer does hold, but still on serve. 3-4. Welcome back. You've got Andreev really in this match now. You saw the relationship that he has with Maria Kirilenko hasn't done any harm to her tennis. It looks like vice versa here. Because last year he was really struggling. At the end of the year, he had his lowest ranking in 3 years at 35. He won only one match in his last 7 events of the year, so he was toast really. But they vowed that they would start 2010 making a noise, and well, he'd be screaming if he could beat Federer.
Oh, absolutely. And interesting, he had a conversation with the umpire in Spanish there, Igor Andreev. Of course, he played most of his tennis in Spain when he grew up, or once he became 14, 15 years old. So did Marat Safin.
So he's got supporters all over the world. There's Federer even from Myanmar. Yeah, I mean, he plays tennis like a Spaniard, doesn't he?
He really does. He really does.
If you didn't know he was Russian, you'd say he had to be Spanish.
It's a dangerous game, this one, for Andreev, serving with new balls. They're faster. If you get your first serve in, it's an advantage, but oh, that's a bad miss.
Remember, there's 3 doubles early on.
Yeah, just having problems with that. I don't think he has to be that worried with the second serve. Federer doesn't step in and do much with other players' second serve, sometimes on the forehand side, but if you can get it to the backhand side, he mainly chips it back in play. Well, if he starts dictating with that forehand, Andreev, then you're going to have to run a long way. That's just such a safe shot. About 6 feet, maybe 4 or 5 feet over the net, a couple of feet inside both lines. That's enough.
Plugging away on the Federer backhand and getting just what he wanted there.
I like the way he started this match, Andreev. He's played about 50-50 to Federer's forehand and Federer's backhand, and he's going to slowly start to move his game over towards the Federer backhand and now try and break that down.
Game Andreev.
193. His second ace.
4 games off.
Yeah, it was fascinating in the fun exhibition for Haiti. Rafa was on court and Serena said, how do you play Roger Federer? And Federer said, oh, he always goes to my forehand time after time.
That's what Rafa told Serena.
That's what Federer said about Rafa.
Love 15.
And he made a joke of it, you know, but I think deep down he's still probably a little defensive about his backhand.
Well, I would think that's one trophy he wants to win, is to beat Rafael Nadal in another Grand Slam final before he quits. Okay, he did it at Wimbledon, but I would say even here, definitely Roland Garros. Ooh, a huge forehand from Andreev.
Yes, it must be under his skin a little bit that here he is. A lot of people say he's the greatest player of all time. I don't know if he is or not, but certainly the stats would say that. And yet, you know, here's a guy who tends to beat him in big matches.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh, what a big chance for Andreev. That's a very tentative approach shot from Federer.
That's the best of them all. Maybe the shot of the tournament so far. How did he get that angle?
That's an impossible shot.
He got very pumped with it. Now, can he make it count? Look at the angle there. He's done it again. Now then, this is fun. This could be a story here, but not much fun if you're Swiss. Andreev will serve for the first set. Two absolutely thunderous shots from Igor Andreev to get the break, and now it is very exciting indeed. 5-4. Can he finish this set off? This is a big test for him. We talked about his record in Grand Slams. It's not been good. And there's obviously a reason for that. Maybe we'll find that reason out here.
Yeah, these are the games you need to win. And the question is, do you go for big first serves or do you go for the percentage play? And now that he's in control when the ball is in play, he wins most of the long rallies.
Federer's backhand is letting him down, and Andreev knows for it. And he's on a roll at that backhand at the moment.
Yeah, I really like the way, as I said before, that he started. He was hitting a lot of shots to Federer's forehand to keep Federer honest, and now Federer doesn't know where Andreev is going with his forehand, and suddenly that's opened up the backhand side of Roger Federer. And there he did try and kick that first serve into the Federer backhand.
Well played.
And that is exactly why I think he has a chance, because that is how Rafael Nadal beats Federer. It's just hitting big looping shots to the Federer backhand. He's not good up high, and then it sets up for the next shot.
The crowd really getting involved now. It's as if the tournament has come alive now in the second afternoon.
We always wonder how dead it will become if Federer loses, though, in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
Far from that. And there's a couple of bad decisions. I'm not sure he should go with that backhand down the line to the Federer forehand, especially now.
This is fantastic. Federer got lucky once, but not lucky enough. And here are 2 set points for Igor Andreev.
He's so quick around the court, Andreev. It's amazing how he's able to hit forehands off of all these shots. Of course, the last one, no chance. Well, he is pumped. I don't see Maria Kirilenko in that player's box. She should be out of the sun.
Ooh. That was against the grain, but he's got a second chance.
Oh, this is what separates him from the best players in the world, though, Andrea. What does he do now? Does he go for the big serve and pray that it goes in, or go to your strength and possibly kick a first serve in and then run around and hit a forehand on the next shot? Because that is his strength.
It's gone long, and Andreev has the first set. Started a little tentatively, but he's just got stronger and stronger as the sets progressed, and he is well worthy of the first set. And you can hear the crowd buzzing now. We're onto something here. Igor Andreev played 7 top 10 opponents last year. He's 0-7. And here he is against Federer. A set up here in the Australian Open. We've had scares from Federer before in big tournaments, and he's come through fine. He may well come through fine this, but Andreev looked so strong at the end of that set.
Oh, he really did. Yeah, tactically he's played a great match, and Federer's serve has let him down a little bit. I thought he started out serving pretty good, but it's just not getting enough free points.
15.
He's not one to panic, though, Roger Federer.
That was some backhand.
He's able to put so much topspin on that backhand sometimes. I would say arguably he's the greatest player ever. I would have to say he is, because Roger Federer is facing tough opponents from the first round on. Pete Sampras didn't do that. Rod Laver didn't do that. They would walk through the first 3 or 4 rounds very easily. And Federer has tough matches from the beginning and always has had.
Is that because the strength in depth is so much stronger now than it was?
Absolutely, yeah. And to be able to come through and win 15 slams, and yes, he has some easy matches sometimes, but that could be a semis or a quarters, but the first and second round are much more difficult these days. It gives you an idea of the speed that these balls are traveling at.
Game Federer.
Third ace. So as you can see, the alarm bells are hardly ringing for Federer, although he's got a lot to think about.
Yeah, he was up that early break and it looked like he was playing well, and Andreev wasn't in it. Federer was taking time away from Andreev, and right now it's Andreev who's dictating once the ball's in play.
Love 15.
You mustn't let him back in this. It's got to be strong for however long it takes. It might be 4 hours, it might be more. And that won't help.
Beautiful touch from Federer. Yeah, really important for Andreev to hang in here. Whatever the score is going to become in the second set, he needs to work Federer from side to side, try and break that backhand down. Misfires again.
The backhand's working pretty well offensively, but not defensively.
Well, that's exactly what happens when he plays against Rafael Nadal. It's hard for him to hit an offensive shot that high up, shoulder height. He has to pick his moments when he's going to serve to that forehand, Andreev.
So here's a chance now for Federer. 2 break points. Remember, he went a break up in the opening set.
It's amazing how that sticks in your memory for both players. Andreev's not going to panic even if he goes down a break because of that first set. And Federer knows it wasn't enough in the first set to be up a break.
Really good. He chose the ideal time to switch it.
Such a fast forehand. Really able to flatten it out a little bit too, but to get this amount of pace on a ball that's nothing on it, just sitting there waiting to be hit, but to get that kind of pace.
There's the slide again.
Well, the game is becoming faster and faster every year, that's for sure.
Yeah, terrific play from Federer. And the perfect response. He's back on track.
Federer leads 2 games to love.
We know how strong he is physically. We've talked about it at length. The question is, how strong is he mentally, Andreev?
Well, Federer seems to relax a little bit more here again, just like he did in the first set, taking the ball a little bit earlier, hitting through with that forehand.
Oh. Again, the quickness allied to the strength. It's a deadly cocktail.
It's amazing how fast some of these Spanish players run around and hit the forehand. I was going to say, but he really does look like the perfect clay court player.
Wow.
Such a clever second serve from Federer. Taking Andreev way out of the court. And then again flattening out that forehand.
Some lethal forehands on both sides of the net here.
Looks so easy.
Full 15.
No, that shot worked in the first set, so no reason to stop trying it.
Game Federer.
Just fallen off his perch a fraction, but Federer's lifted his game.
Federer leads 3 games to love.
He's 3-love to the good second set. Plenty of news around the other courts. And here's David Mercer to take you through it.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. We had a brief look at the match on court number 6 earlier, and I can tell you that James Blake has wrapped up a straight sets victory over the veteran Frenchman Arnaud Clément, former finalist here. First 2 sets were tight, 7-5, 7-5, but the third was more straightforward. 6 games to 2. James Blake was opted out of Davis Cup this year, but he's certainly not opted out of this tournament. And then let's head over to the second court here, the Hisense Arena, of course. And Jelena Jankovic has had a little bit of a battle there in the first set against Monica Niculescu of Romania. But Jankovic, having been down a break early in the set, has come back to claim it. This was the set point at 5-4, 40-15. And of course, the winner of that will play Katie O'Brien, who went through in straight sets earlier today. All 3 Brits in the tournament have all progressed to the second round. They'll all play tomorrow.
Thanks, David. So, Federer in charge again, but for how long?
Ladies and gentlemen, Andreev is challenging the ball. The right near side line. Ball was
Interesting, because he had a full swing at that, and would he have challenged it if his shot had gone in? Anyway, I think this is close enough. It was out.
15 love.
Really important for him to hang on and hold this serve here.
Too many doubles. The first of this set, but the 5th in all already.
Well, Federer wants this game badly. It means he would have wrapped up the second set if he breaks here too.
Not quite. Exquisite skill again from Federer to flick that up on the half volley.
30 off.
Andreev nearly ran it down.
Amazing. Sometimes I think he invents shots as he goes along. And again, good net coverage, though. He was in the right spot there, Federer.
Nope. Shots that he was making time after time in the latter half of the opening set, but he's not making hardly any at the moment.
Just gone off a little bit. Doesn't miss by much, but slight miss it, you would think.
To work perhaps a little harder than he might have, and gives himself a big come on as he gets a chance to go a double break up.
Now, well, basically a set point coming up here for Federer. He stayed very patient in this rally.
Well played, recognizing how important that was.
Advantage, Andreev.
Well, it's amazing how important this game is, because if Federer wins it, basically that is the end of the second set, and if Andreev wins it, he's back in the same position as he was in the first set. He was down 3-1. It's a huge game.
Yeah, well played. Not all brawn. He's mostly brawn, but there's a bit of touch there as well. And he's done extraordinarily well there to hold.
Oh, so important for him, and make Federer work really hard here without breaking him. Now then, it's a big game again. This is when Federer dropped his serve in the first set. Oy, oy, oy.
Love 15.
Very strange. He looked distracted almost there. Second double. Clever angle.
Yeah, again, a very safe shot from Federer. Hit at the right time, to the right place. Needs a first serve though, Federer.
Never really got balanced in the rally after he'd run round the first backhand.
I think he was surprised that Federer didn't go down the line with that last forehand. It made Andreev change directions. He wasn't ready for it.
Just missed too often in this set, Andreev, to really put pressure on Federer.
Yeah, that was a perfect example of somebody who doesn't panic. He didn't go for a big first serve there, Federer. He rolled it into the Andreev backhand, hoping for a short reply.
Game Federer. Federer leads 4 games to 1.
So normal service looks as if it's being resumed here, but Federer still only a single breakup, 4-1. So he looks pretty calm. He's been through the ringer so many times. I don't think much phases in these days. Set down against a strong opponent. Cope with that. But Andreev, I think it was the way he won the first set. He looked so immensely strong that it might have been a worry. But there have been too many mistakes, and Federer's played really well.
Yeah, Federer definitely stepped it up in the second set and played better from the baseline. At the same time as Andreev. Well, he won all the big points in the first set, and that makes the difference. Again, important to hang on though, because memory from that first set lingers. And that was not a particularly good game by Federer, the last one.
Love 15.
A good solid first serve.
Seventeen unforced errors from Federer so far.
Right idea. Good change up, but he's playing into the wind, Federer, so that's a good time to hit a drop shot. If it goes in, I think it's a winner.
Yeah, Andreev was way back, wasn't he?
Game Andreev.
So Andreev holds. And on court 3, Sorana Castella is through. Here's David to tell you how.
Yeah, the Romanian who did so well at the French Open last year has had quite a battle with Olivia Rogowska of Australia. Obviously, family coming from Poland. It took her 3 sets to get through, 6-3, 2-6, 6-2. But disappointment for the Aussies. But Sestao showed at the French Open last year that she's a real talent, and through she goes. Back to you, Simon.
15 love.
Federer hammers down ace number 4. And that one pretty quick too, 204 Ks.
Oh, you don't see him miss one of those shots too often. That's a big point too. He needed 30 love here, Federer, to put this game away. And he was in position.
Yeah, just for a split second, Andreev thought about challenging, but no. So the second ace in the game.
Doesn't miss by much, but he was making those early on.
That's tough to have the point replayed. Did Federer get enough time? I think that's Andreev's point.
I think I'm not sure what the rule is these days. Is that not a judgment call? Surely that was Andreev's point.
Game Federer.
Federer tightens the noose on this set. He's a game away from leveling up. Calmly going about his business. And over on show court 2, the man Federer beat at Roland Garros, Robin Söderling, has just taken a 2-sets-to-love lead against Marcel Gonayes of Spain. First set 7-5, the second somewhat easier, 6-2. And that match right now on British Eurosport 2, if you want to switch over. Gonayes against Söderling. Yeah, Andreev on Rod Laver, serving to stay in this second set. Is Söderling a threat here, Max?
I certainly think so. I think he's going to be a threat in all 4 majors. And I was surprised that he actually didn't beat Juan Martín del Potro in the ATP World Finals in the O2 Arena. Thought he was playing good enough to win that tournament. And he did lose to Federer in the French Open Finals in the close 4-setter. He lost to Federer in, I think, 2 tiebreakers in the 7-5 in Wimbledon, and he lost to Federer in the US Open 7-6 in the 4th set. So you absolutely have to put Söderling within the top 6 in the world these days, I would think.
Söderling looking to finish this set right here.
Love 40.
Looks up on Molina just to see if there's a glimmer of hope, but there's none. And here are 3 set points for Federer.
Yeah, much better set so far by Federer in the first set. Andreev has fallen off though, he's not playing as well.
Oh, whoa! What a way to finish the set. There were a lot of questions, and he's answered them pretty emphatically in that second set. So after an hour and a quarter, we're, as we started, on level terms.
Okay.
So very impressive second set stats for Roger Federer. Losing, what, just 4 points behind his first serve. Cutting out most of those unforced errors. But it was more about Andreev. Andreev just fell off his pedestal a little bit in that second set.
He really did, and didn't hit his forehand as well. But I like the one statistics there where Federer did come to the net 8 times. Out of the 29 points he won, he won 6 out of those 8 times, and I think he's just putting enough pressure on Andreev at the moment, taking the ball again a little bit earlier, flattening out his forehand and taking away some time from Andreev. But it's not easy to keep doing that, especially when it gets close in this match. And the next 15 minutes are going to be crucial for Igor Andreev, because Federer could easily run away with this now.
Yeah. So it's Federer to begin set number 3.
Oh. 15. Let's second service.
Whoa!
13-15.
One of those early on, and we wondered if he was a bit tight. I didn't think he was tight there. It was just an awful shot.
They're horrible. With the wind, mistimed it a little bit and just took off on him.
Clawing control of the point and never letting go.
No, really playing well now. With that miss, though, the miss on that previous point, I think the only positive thing is that you can't miss a shot by that much unless you're going for your shot, and that's a good thing.
Oh, it's a wonderful serve. And he's beginning to look the real deal now, Federer. After being under the cosh. But the important part now for Andreev is to hold serve here and stay with him.
Yeah, well, Andreev wants to make it more of a physical match than it has become here in the last 45 minutes of this match. Federer is playing very quick points. That happens very often when you play, though. You play a first set and you think it's really important for the outcome of the match, and you're both really tight and tense, and then finally it's over, and it doesn't really matter if you won it or lost it. It's just nice to get it over and done with. Now I can start and relax. That seems to be what happened to Roger Federer after that first set.
Let's the service.
Too good. Nothing wrong with that forehand. As you say, he is going for it now. More and more.
Absolutely. Playing much more free than in the beginning. It's a dangerous place to go for Andreev to the Federer forehand.
30-15.
It's a sneaky play from Federer that time. Sometimes he throws in these surprising shots. Surprised his opponent that time. Just keeps his opponent guessing just enough.
So here's a huge point for Andreev. Stayed well on top of that.
A nice quick feet in that overhead.
No! After a super backhand, Federer wastes his chance, and Andreev has leveled up.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Again, poor execution by Federer, but it shows how relaxed he is. He chooses to go for a little drop shot in that. He could have easily have hit this shot. He's just got so many options, Roger Federer, when he plays the game.
Love 15.
He's really letting fly at every opportunity at the moment.
Yeah, he wants to shorten those points. Dangerous place to serve to the Andreev forehand. So much topspin on that forehand. It's really difficult to see watching on TV, but it's incredible how that ball takes off once it hits the surface.
He needed a good serve there, Federer. Yeah, great work from the back from Andreev.
Yeah, really good defensive play. So quick around the court.
So, break points here for the Russian.
Very difficult volley there from Federer. Big point for Andreev. He really is in this match if he could break here.
He thinks it might be wide. He's checking with Enric Molina. It's surely worth a challenge if he's got any doubt. It's so important.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andreev is challenging the ball on the center service line.
It was just half a chance.
Well, Federer seems to think it's wide as well, because he's standing in the deuce court, ready to say, oh,
wow. Second service.
Way out.
Yeah, it is.
Horrible call. Oh, then a gift from Andreev.
Yeah, he's got a knuckle down now. He's got one more chance and he may not get another one. The forehand's too good, and Andreev is in front again. We could have some match on our hands here. Well, for me, and I think for you too, Mats, that came out of the blue, that last game.
Oh, absolutely. Very surprising, but Andreev picked his game up there a little bit. I don't think Federer necessarily played that badly.
People moving behind Andreev. Ready to go now. Well, he's a break in front early in this set. Can he hold it through? That's something to go by. But he has served a number of doubles.
Yeah, it's very strange because he puts so much topspin on that second serve, and he's only hitting it at 135 kilometers an hour. It's very strange that he can't get that serve in play more often.
Oh, not again. He's challenging that. I would think this would be pretty close.
On the service line, ball was called down.
A lot of topspin on it. It was really racing down. Did it come down in time? No.
It's just two horrible second serves in a row here. He's not really trying to hit a second serve on the line. Trying to just get it in play. It's the sideways direction that's important.
Francisco Fogg, who's been in charge of Andreev for just about a month now. This would be a terrific boost to their partnership if Andreev could do something here. Well, he's played a pretty miserable game here.
Oh, very bad. Good return from Federer, but still.
2 break-back points. It's interesting that the coach player, it's the same, I think, across any sport. However well you get on with somebody, it's a results business in the end. If the player's starting to win all the time, he's listening to you.
No, absolutely. And it's amazing how early on in the relationship between a coach and a player, how the player usually does play well, because it's just a new person in your corner. And it doesn't really matter what he says. It's just fun to have somebody different there. Oh, that's a great play by Andreev. A very safe first serve. setting up for his forehand. Defensive return from Federer. Here's a huge point.
Yeah, super rally. And he wasn't going to miss the great man there.
It's great movement from both players.
Advantage Federer.
He follows it in so quickly, Roger Federer. So smooth around the court.
Yes.
Yeah, he hated that.
Oh, he nearly got upset that time, Federer. It's a must-win game though for Federer. He playing with the wind in his back. Doesn't want to go down 3-1 and then having Andreev serve from the other side at either 3-2 or 4-1 up. Oh.
Two pretty similar points, apart from the last one, of course. The one 2 points ago. Almost the same. Lovely movement to the net.
Just set the construction of that point is perfect. Again, that overhead is not going to miss any. Well, he knows how important this game is.
So he's got a third chance.
See if Andreev puts that first serve back in play to the Federer backhand way up high, wait for the short reply and then use his forehand to dominate.
Yeah, well, he used the forehand, but he wasn't able to dominate. It was Federer who did it. And Federer's got the break, and he's back.
No, just too good from Federer. They're playing really well on the important points. Not a huge game. Great defensive skills by Federer. Somehow he turns these rallies into his favor and starts dictating. Oh, and that was a big blow, I think, to Andreev's confidence not to hold serve there. He knew that was really important.
He mustn't lose heart or get down on himself. But it's not that easy when Federer's rifling points so quickly now.
Yeah, he really doesn't give you any time to take a deep breath and look at the situation at all.
Super serving from Roger Federer. And in the twinkling of an eye, he's in front again. Has Andreev's chance gone in this set? 3-2. An important sit down for Igor Andreev. He's got to take stock now. It looks so good the last time he sat down, and now suddenly things have changed.
It seems like it goes in waves here. Andreev plays well, and then suddenly Federer starts playing well. But he's serving with the wind in his back. If he can hold here, then the next game has a good chance of breaking.
Played.
Well done. This is when you have to use the wind to your advantage. You don't have to go for big shots. Just keep it high over the net. Lot of topspin. Bring it up high and work your way towards the net, just like you did in that point.
Big hitting from Federer.
So relaxed sometimes out there on this forehand side, Federer. Let's see. Roger's father there, that red cap. I saw him walking around the grounds the other day, just like any other fan, just watching the side courts. No worries at all. Just missed.
Let's for service.
It's an excellent serve by Andreev. I was going to say, he said two first serves, both hit the tape. Likelihood is you're going to miss the third one. Elected to just spin it in.
Federer hates to challenge, but he has jumped in here. He's wrong.
4-3-15. Federer has 2 challenges remaining. Game Andreev.
Interesting in the Haiti exhibition.
3 games on.
A couple of challenges were available there. Hawkeye was available there, and Federer was just going, it's always wrong. Still doesn't totally trust it.
No, I'm sure he doesn't. He wants to be in control. I think it's pretty accurate these days, if not completely accurate.
At his best, he is a heck of a handful, Andreev, and he showed it there again. As you said, he has a chance to break from this end. Just gives a little more oomph behind that forehand.
And that's just a regular forehand. If that was hit from the other side, he would not get that winner. Just overhit that one a little bit. Didn't have to go for that much. He knows it.
And there's the other side of the wind story, isn't it? If he was against the wind, that would have gone in. But he's got to go for it.
He has to.
That's a sloppy shot.
Very much so. Yeah, it's not 1-1 in the third set, it's 3-3. This is a crucial game here. That most important 7th game, which is a total myth.
Yeah, he loved that.
Oh, what a beautiful slide on that backhand slice to defend and keep himself in the point.
30-all.
I'm glad you said that about
And
this.
this one must have hurt.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that about the 7th game, though.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with it at all.
That's another massive forehand from Andreev.
30-40.
Really playing well from this side, Andreev. The Federer having to defend at all times and then not going for too much. Again, safely inside the sideline. 4 feet over the net.
And it's break point.
No!
Well, it wasn't the best drop shot of all time, and maybe that's the pivotal point in this match. Because he should have made that, and Federer would have been a breakdown at 4-3.
Absolutely a very strange decision by Federer to go for a drop shot. And it was a horrible one. An even more horrible response. Wow, that's the worst shot we'll see in this whole tournament.
Look at the response. Oh.
How does he miss that? Well, you said it, Simon. He's ranked 35 in the world. 0-7 against top 10 players last year. And you gotta win those points.
If he does get beat, he's going to think about that tonight.
It's a huge point.
Game, Federer.
Igor. Federer pumps his fist, and deep down he knows he may have earned it to a certain extent, but he was lucky. Andreev faltered at a crucial point. It's 4-3. Second time we've said it for Igor Andreev. In the last half an hour, how must he be feeling? He was a break-up and then played an awful game, and there he should have been a break-up again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in control of this match. Of course, Roger Federer plays a lot of matches where he's not in control, and he somehow brings his opponent down to the level that he's playing at, and then once it gets to 4-all, 5-all, well, then he's mentally much tougher than everybody else. And he's managed to do that right now with Igor Andreev, because Andreev really is dominating this match so far. Not by a lot, but just.
So another set of new balls. Going to say you don't get too many chances against Roger Federer, but maybe it's one of those days. Maybe he's going to get another chance.
Well, after that wayward forehand, you would think so. Complete miss it from Roger Federer. A very clever shot, that little drop volley, especially when you're playing against the wind. Just dies. And again, you see Federer slide to stop himself, and he has to be careful with that.
30-15.
Federer working this end. It gives his forehand just that little bit extra.
A very patient point from Federer that time. Knowing that it's very difficult to hit a winner from the other side of the court. Just pushing Andreev around.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Matt, isn't it? Hitting with the same power the far end, but he just wasn't making a dent in Federer.
Now Federer's just running around, just bunting the ball back in play, and he knows he can't get hurt. Eventually, Andreev looked tired in that rally, and that backhand didn't stay down, stood up way too quickly. Federer just being patient right now.
It's break point. I'm not going to enjoy that.
And that again is the problem when you play with the wind. Slight miss hits or a little too high over the net, it's going to float on you. A little bit of negative body language though from Igor Andreev here. Understandably so after that break point that he missed, but he's in this match. I mean, he really is playing at least as good as his opponent.
And just a little bit of extra fizz from the Federer forehand, and he's got another chance.
He really needs a big first serve. This is not the time to spin in the first serve against the wind. This is when you need to go for a flat one.
That's as loud as it gets from Roger Federer. He's living on the brink, but he's got the break, and he should be through to the a 2-1 lead here.
Yeah, really well done by Roger Federer, and this is, we keep saying that, is he as good as he was 2 or 3 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, but he played within himself in that game and didn't go for too much. He calculated the consequences, the circumstances, and he just kept the ball in play and knew that Andreev cannot hurt me.
So he now serves for the third set.
Oh, what a great squash shot by Igor Andreev.
Federer shakes his head. He knows he shouldn't miss it. It's a difficult looking shot, but he makes so many of them.
Yeah, it really does, and I think he's shaking his head because that's my shot, Igor. Federer pretty much invented that slice forehand way out wide. Oh.
It is just wide, and he got lucky.
Oh, Federer just can't believe it, how unlucky he is right now. But then again, he was really lucky a couple of games ago.
Sure was. Andreev looked a bit lost there, but he just about got it done. Federer, what, an inch wide and disgusted. Oof. That's a wonderful shot. And he has got chances. He's got 3 more chances.
3 very strange points in a row. And you can't say that Federer has played tentative or played bad. It was just unfortunate. Maybe Andreev got his luck back here.
Thank you.
There's one back. No, he was hoping for it, and Andreev has made him pay, and this set is not over. 5 games to 4. Over on the Margaret Court Arena, a heroine from last year is on her way again. Here's David Mercer to tell you about it.
Yeah, it's not been a bad day for the Aussie women. Of course, we saw Sam Stosur go through earlier. And Casey Delacroix, she's come through a tough one with Anastasia Yakimova from Belarus. 6-2, 3-6, 6-4. So a couple of the Aussie women are on their way. Of course, great disappointment yesterday with Jelena Dokic going out. And Alicia Molik will play later on today. But Casey Delacroix joins Sam Stosur in round 2, but let's go right back to that fascinating match between Federer and Andreev, with Andreev, I think, broken back.
Time.
Well, it's impossible to predict this match just when we think we've got a fix on it.
It's just a very weird things happening here in this end of this third set.
I don't believe Andreev himself thought he'd get another chance to stay in this set, but somehow he has. Federer needs plenty of Swiss support right now for 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andreev is challenging the call. The right faster line. Ball was called out.
I think this one is just missed wide.
Good call.
Love 15. Andreev has one challenge remaining.
Yeah, well, you have to say, even though he's down 4-5 here, Andreev, he's in the driver's seat now. He's got the win for 2 games. Can easily hold here and can easily break Federer with the wind in his back, and then suddenly he could be serving for the 3rd set. So, and he needs to play a smart game here, Andreev.
Just that little bit of extra impetus behind the forehand. It made the difference.
Federer kind of slipped here. And it's not often you see him off balance like that.
He's got 6 more matches after this if he's going to win the tournament.
Yeah, he would have hated the draw when he saw that he had to play Igor Andreev in the first round of Federer. One of those dark horses you don't want to play.
He's very seldom been in charge of this match.
Just in the very beginning, and then obviously through the second set, but Andreev went away in the second set. Federer played a little bit better, but it is Andreev who's controlling and dictating pretty much everything what's going on right now. Lucky to be in this set, Andreev, of course, but should have had the break at 4-3.
It's a horror.
It's tough to hit into the wind there. You have to get onto the ball so quickly, otherwise it bounces up so high because of the wind. And you try and take the ball earlier when you play against the wind, but it's so difficult. Again mistimed that forehand.
This is unbelievable. Spraying the ball to all parts.
15.
Well, he needs a couple more of those. Oh, now then, it's Andreev running around to hit that big forehand of his.
Oh, Federer sensed it. Throws in another double. Here are 2 break points for Andreev. Again, Mats, you picked it absolutely spot on. He could be serving for this set. And there's no doubt that the vast majority of the success has been from this end.
Oh, amazing.
Whether that's in the players' minds too much, I don't know, but it's happening.
No, I think 75% of the games have been won from this side. All the breaks have come from this side.
And there's another break. Outstanding play from Igor Andreev. And he will serve for a 2-1 lead. Boy, oh boy.
Well, it's amazing how big a part the wind plays, because all you need is one chance, one shot, and you're back in the rally, compared to from the other side. You need to hit 3 or 4 good shots to be in control, but from this end, incredible how well they've done, though, playing with the wind in their back.
So often, though, in the last 45 minutes, when he's had the chance, he's got in front, he's let himself down. Twice he's been a break-up, twice he's been pulled back, and now he's got one more chance, the pivotal chance here at 6-5.
Well, this is a tough thing, because playing with the wind when you're relaxed and you're using the wind to your advantage is one thing. Sometimes you get tight, the wind is in your back, you start pushing the ball rather than hitting with a lot of spin, and then you don't use it to your advantage. And it'll be interesting to see how Federer reacts there, if he's able to use the wind like he did a couple of games ago. Again, all Andreev needs is a couple of big serves. Can have a 2-1 lead here.
Listen to the crowd. After 2 hours and 3 minutes, he serves for a 2-1 lead.
And there's one.
Not faltering here so far. A little bit of luck. It was a beautiful shot from Federer. It deserved to get a bit of luck.
It really did. And there's a bit of luck in there, but there's a lot of skill, and he's hitting that within half an inch over the net and just happened to clip the top of it. Made it harder for Andreev. Much harder.
Well, he wanted to make absolutely sure.
Yeah, well, I think Federer started, he was leaning that way. It might have made Andreev pull it wide. He saw that Federer guessed right. Oh, it was a hard shot to hit then. Still with a chance, though.
Cracking serve. One of his quickest so far, 200 Ks. And here's set point for the Russian. Yeah, Federer got it down really low.
Yeah, that's obviously his speciality, Federer. So much underspin. And Igor Andreev is so used to running around and hitting so many forehands from that side, but that one he should have hit a backhand off of. So many decisions to make right now.
It's away. Forehand did the trick against the wind. Yep. He's got one more chance, a second set point.
Oh, he's standing way over Andreev. Looks like he has to go to the Federer backhand, but is he faking him?
just overcooked it. Federer's slice backhand holding him together just.
Really had a chance to get in there, Andreev, after one of those forehands. He should have been able to see that Federer was a little bit late, but he's not used to coming into the net after his forehand. Oof.
What was that? Way off balance. Set point number 3.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like it's that windy, but I think it's windier than we can see on the TV screen, and it's a bad miss from Federer.
How many chances does he want?
It just looks, every set point look exactly the same, doesn't they? Federer keeps it in play with that slice backhand. Andreev goes for too much. Yeah, I don't think he has to panic so much, because Federer is not going to go for an outright winner, set point down.
Well played. And listen to the crowd. They're reacting to Federer like he's the underdog here.
Yeah, absolutely they do. And I think they sense the same thing that we sense, that Andreev is the one dominating. It's up to him, really. But dominating might be too strong a word, but he's dictating, that's for sure.
So many chances he's had, but now it's Federer's chance to take us into a breaker. He's going to challenge. It wouldn't be far away, but it feels like the slice has done the trick again for Federer. He's got to go for it.
Absolutely. I think Federer is not sure either.
No.
And it is in.
It's in.
And that's a, well, you can't call that a bad call, can you, by the line umpire?
Absolutely.
It did look long there for a long time, but it obviously just dipped because of the wind.
Agony for Federer.
Thank you.
Well, they're not happy. That linesman is blind, is what they're saying. Yeah.
He's got it.
So much experience, Roger Federer. You can tell from that game. Didn't play particularly well, but kept the ball in play, kept it low. Used that slice backhand so efficiently.
So 3 breaks to each guy in this set. Serve hardly dominating.
All coming from this side.
Yep. Every
Amazing.
single one. They followed each other. So now into the breaker.
Oh, beautiful volley.
1-0. Andreev.
They played a couple of breakers the last time they met the US Open. 1 apiece.
It just gets in so quickly here, Andreev. And unusually good touch with that volley as well.
He just doesn't miss overhead.
It's well played by Federer. Really getting so much backspin on that slice backhand that set this whole point up.
Backhand was a thorn in his side early on, but not any longer. It's holding him together.
Oh, he really needs to be up at least 4-2 here, Federer, playing from this side. Good start.
His 8th ace. Missed by a mile.
Well, that's the danger when you hit so much topspin and with such an extreme grip. Get a little nervous, you start mishitting it a little bit, and you're going to miss by a lot. Desperately needs a big first serve here, Andreev. Just tightened up here at the end of this set. A horrible forehand.
And that shot really has caused him so much grief. The forehand from the backhand side. 3 times he's been a break-up in this set. 3 times he's been pegged back, and that shot has hurt him.
Yeah, and it's all come off from that slice backhand of Federer's. He's used that to perfection here. But Andreev certainly has tightened up here. I mean, he's playing at the same level as the world's #1, or even better. Just making too many easy mistakes on the big points.
One thing's for sure, Mats, Federer may go on and win this tournament, but if he is going to do so, he's going to have to play an awful lot better than he's produced today.
But absolutely, he hasn't played well, but again, Andreev is a nightmare opponent for Federer. I really think so, with that kick second serve and that big topspin forehand. Doesn't like those kind of players, Federer.
Andreev not happy with the call. Over the far side from us and from Henrik Molina, so difficult to get a fix. I thought it was okay, and it is. So Federer with a nice cushion now, 4 set points. It's a huge set. It may be the pivotal one. It should be the pivotal one for Roger Federer. And he's gone 2 sets to 1 up, but Andreev must be kicking himself from here to Sydney, because he should have had that set. 3 sets, 3 times he was a set up. Chris Bradnam will be joining Mats for set number 4.
Highlights and the stats of the 3rd set. Just held it together, didn't he? Better than Andreev in the end, Federer. Since the French 2005, only 3 men have beaten him in a major. Nadal, a number of times, of course, Del Potro
and Djokovic the other two, and it now seems very unlikely that Andreev is going to join that very short list.
It really does, but I think the fact that the wind is blowing so hard down there and they're able to break serve from this side, from the way we're looking at it, I think that's going to keep him in the game, because he knows he can always break Federer from this side. And the question is, can he hold on here early on?
How's Granollers and Söderling getting on, David?
It's actually Jonathan here, just replaced David, and that one is into a fourth set now. Granollers took the third 6-4, and he's a break up in set number 4 now, so that means that we could well be going the distance, and Söderling was looking as though he was going to cruise through to the second round, now right up against it. So an interesting one, and you can follow that live on Eurosport 2, of course, Chris.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Oh, beautiful touch from Andreev. What a difficult shot. And really a good, safe passing shot by Federer. Didn't do too much with it, kept it low. Well, you wonder why he doesn't come to the net more often. He pretty much wins every one.
It's interesting watching this match from just behind you in the commentary box, Matt, that the patterns of play haven't really changed at all that much. I mean, Federer's serve and volley but once or twice in the match. The slice return from the left-hand court is going cross-court 99 times out of 100. You see Andreev's nerve went towards getting the 2-1 lead.
Oh, absolutely, and this is why he is ranked 35 in the world. And he had some injuries, of course, but hasn't had great success in the majors. Just doesn't win the big points. It's just so patient, Federer, right now. He's keeping the ball nice and high over the net.
Well, he's getting plenty of chances still, as we've seen. This would be huge, though, to get a break at the start of the fourth after what we saw in the third. Same pattern, same play.
You know, I like that. I like patterns. I think he's staying even with Federer here. Why change anything? He's just been unlucky. Got a bit nervous. Let's keep on plugging away. Might get another chance here. That's what we do on the senior tour. These guys are supposed to be serious athletes.
Yeah. Slice short and low.
Now, this is something he did not do early on, Federer. His slice didn't work, and he didn't take the second serve that early. He's obviously figured that out. Very effective.
Same pattern. I mean, Federer knows he's going to get a backhand return on the left court side, rather like against Nadal. And yet the slice is constantly going cross court when Andreev just then nips around, uses his forehand. There's no hint of the chip down the line on the return.
No, I think he's too afraid of the Andreev cross court forehand. He hit that so well in the first set, Andreev. No ways. That was going in too. That would have been the point of the tournament, not just so far, but maybe throughout the whole 2 weeks. But it reminds me a little bit of a match that Roger Federer played against Thomas Berdych a couple of years ago, where he just kept playing, doing the same thing, and he's beaten him 15 times in a row. And if this is the day where Thomas Berdych gets lucky and hits more winners than he usually does, well then I'm going to lose. But I'm not going to change too much because I'm better than him. He's going to choke or get nervous or tight, and I think he's just feeling the same thing here against Andreev.
He's recovered from 2 sets down against Berdych last year. This hasn't been as perilous. Nearly. But now there's a bit of breathing space. And Andreev, imagine how tired he feels right now compared to being 2 sets to 1 up.
Oh, it's just a huge difference. I mean, I can't imagine him coming back from that. I think it would be better if he would have lost that set at 6-4 and then he had some energy left, but he was so close. Just great scrambling by Roger Federer. When is he going to slow down is the question.
He's been forced back very deep for a lot of this match, hasn't he? Such has been the power coming at him. Andreev right up on the baseline. 2 sets to 1 up. A break-up, 4th set, Federer.
Well, I think we said, Chris, I think it was you and I commentating a couple of years ago, or maybe it was even last year, that we will not see Roger Federer play this perfect, flawless tennis, hitting 25, 30 winners to 5 unforced errors. He's not trying to do that anymore. He's trying to play within himself. He's trying to play his opponent much more than he used to do, which will prolong his career and make it more interesting for himself, because every match is a chess game compared to before, where it was just up to him. If I go in there and play great, then I'm going to win easy. Now he's not worrying about playing great. He's only worrying about getting through the match. Yeah. I really like that in what he's been doing the last couple of years. Well, he's not as good as he was 2 years ago, but how can you be? He's winning 12 tournaments a year, 3 slams the same year, 3 years in a row. I mean, that's... So I think this is as good as Federer. He's not going to improve from here, but he's improved in other departments.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Well, I thought I heard that even. But obviously I hear better than them, and they're pretty much closer. They're much closer than we are, aren't they?
And when you look at the matches that he's lost in majors, take out the Nadal on clay matches, they've been staggering performances from the opponents that have beaten him. He knows that in the bank as well. 3 out of 5 sets. It's almost like Federer doesn't believe there's virtually anyone in the locker room that can actually sustain it for 3 out of 5 sets.
No, exactly, and that's the big difference, I think. I think that the fact that he has lost more in the last couple of years in the smaller tournaments has given the locker room more confidence, but it doesn't make any difference to Federer himself, because he knows it's 3 out of 5. I got so many different options. I can, like he's doing now, chipping the backhand. He can serve and volley if he has to, and he generally chooses the right tactics, I think, except maybe against Nadal. But against Nadal, it just doesn't fit his game. It's really hard, and obviously Andreev has a similar game to Rafael Nadal, although he's right-handed.
I mean, Davydenko's been talked up. Beat Federer Nadal in London, beat Federer Nadal in Doha. 2 out of 3. But in all the matches that Davydenko's played against Federer in majors, he's got 1 set.
Absolutely. It's just such a tall mountain to climb when you start against Federer and Nadal in the majors.
15 love.
He's definitely improved his chances of winning his first ever major, Davydenko, with those results, and the form from last being carried into this, sure, but...
Absolutely. Well, that's a perfect example of, that's a result of Federer losing in the smaller tournaments, and then suddenly Davydenko gets more confident. But again, Federer doesn't really care that much about the smaller tournaments anymore. He's playing for these occasions. And a win here, I think, that will catapult him straight into the semifinals. It's a perfect first round for Federer. Does he win? Which it looks like it's Andreev running out of time here, just panicking a little bit. Wasn't doing that before. He's got the wind in his back. He can keep the ball in place, spin the forehand high, and Federer really can't hurt him. And suddenly he's just panicking a little bit.
Stood a lot further up to the line on the return that time, Federer.
Yeah, he has moved closer to the baseline absolutely throughout this match and taking time away from Andreev, chipping that backhand short. Well, that time the speedometer is completely wrong. There's no ways that was 186 kilometers. More like 210, 215.
Federer's quickest has been changed to 126 miles per hour from 153. Double break would seal it.
No, that's match. Yeah, and that was match point, really. Or could have given him match point, rather.
Defies belief, Andreev's tennis in this match when you look at his back end of the last year. Maybe the 5-setter they played against each other in the US Open a couple of years ago. The memory of that has inspired him.
Absolutely. I think Maria Kirilenko's win over Maria Sharapova has inspired him even more. No. You cannot play cat and mouse with Roger Federer. The only one that can do that is Rafael Nadal for some reason. But gotta chip this ball deep to the Federer back and make him come up with a pass.
Doesn't move, he glides.
Yeah, I remember those days. No, that's not true. I was limping around the court compared to Roger Federer. We all were. I think the only one that glide through the court was actually Stefan Edberg. He moved in a very not similar way to Federer, but it was effortless. But apart from that, no one's even close to Roger Federer. Brilliant.
In a way, he manufactured that return. He was protecting his Friday night initially, but...
Absolutely.
He's putting a lot into this game.
Oh, well, it's a huge game. Federer could really seal it here.
hardly seen that. Federer looking to run round the backhand on the second serve and hit the forehand return. He's hardly done it at all on the left court, and you can guarantee it's going to be three-quarter kicker.
No, well, we know that that's one of his weaknesses. He doesn't do that, and I would say that's one of his strongest shots. So he's definitely not using all that he has. He could still improve. That's the scary part. Now will be a really good time.
Okay.
Well, that's enough.
It's a bit anticlimactic for the Russians. 3-love double break the lead, fourth set. Welcome back, and there's a bit of a surprise result in court 13, Jonathan.
Absolutely, that result just coming up on the bottom corner of your screen is that Santiago Giraldo's knocked out number 16 seed Tommy Robredo in straight sets. As you saw there, 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 the final score. So a real stir on day 2 here in Melbourne, and that's come in the shape of the number 16 seed being knocked out in the first round. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Jonathan. New balls in play.
Be interesting to see here if Roger Federer, now that he's 3-love up, 2 breaks, if he starts to serve and volley a little bit and maybe work on some things that he needs to improve and he needs to work on for the remainder of the tournament. Because surely now he knows he's going to win this. He can always play defensively from this side with the wind in his back. And maybe just push around a little bit more and go for his shots and feel really good about this match. Because he's played a solid match. He's won all the big points. Got unlucky in the third set to not having won it sooner. Or at least just relax a little bit. Not that he looks tense or anything. Well, there was a relaxed one though. Try to flatten that forehand out.
If you counted up the number of forehands this man's hit in the match compared to backhands, can you imagine what the score would be?
Oh, if that's what you based your scoreboard, okay. He would be the winner.
Doesn't like that either. One that gets up on that side.
Amazing the difference. It doesn't look that like it's that windy down there, but it really must be. Is he sweating?
No, can't be.
Or is that the pattern of the shirt?
Well, we haven't had a special one from Federer in this match so far. Normally it's a great shot somewhere along the line.
You're a hard man to please, Chris. Oof. So good. Is that special enough? I just love the way he's playing from this side with the wind in his back. He's being so patient, and he's looping the ball back in place, hitting a few slice backhands, and now he's relaxed and he's able to flatten that forehand out again.
It's good to see him on his front foot. He's been so much of this match on his back. It's going away from Andreev and quickly now.
Federer leads 4 games to none.
Yeah, it's classic. Top 2, top 3 player. performance as this. Yes, Andreev was really close. Could have had 2-1, but he's still so far away from beating Federer in a 3 out of 5 set match.
Giving the effort of winning that first set. A bit of a lull at the start of the second. If he'd gone, I mean, it would have been fascinating to have seen the match from 2-1, Andreev.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, just letting it rip now, Federer. The Swedes came up with that, actually.
Did they?
Yeah, every time a Swedish player hit an ace, they came up with that. Well, they didn't write the song, obviously. Who wrote that song?
Good question.
Cool and the Gang or something?
Maybe.
He's had some bad luck in this match, though, Federer, I must say. Andreev has been the lucky one. But overall, I think he's been one of the luckiest players in the world.
Oh, there's your special. There's the special one.
Oh my goodness. That's an impossible shot with the wind in your back. It really is.
When you think where he recovered from, having then run round for probably the first time. Even Federer enjoyed that one. It's one-way traffic. It's a triple break. Roger Federer will serve for the match after the break. Welcome back. 2 hours and 43 minutes. Federer, to a big ovation, comes out to serve for a place in round 2. A case of what might have been. 2-1 is what might have been. What could have been. Could it have been much better than that? We'll never know.
Would have put some stress on Federer, that's for sure, if you would have had to go to 5 sets, and instead this is turning out to be a dream scenario for Federer. It's the perfect first round, and this is by far the most dangerous player he's going to face for the first 4 rounds, apart from possibly Leighton Hewitt. But well, Leighton Hewitt hasn't had great success against Roger Federer, so this is a huge match for Federer.
3 match points now. There'll be many standing at the end. He nearly always gets one. There are very few players ever to get a standing ovation just walking onto court, let alone leaving it the winner. Oh. A backhand clean winner from the back to finish. There's a half smile there.